You really have to like break down the walls, be vulnerable, and say, I deserve to visualize this future. I deserve to see myself as a mother. I don't have to be scared of it. And that takes a lot of courage to do that as well. It takes a lot of courage to put aside your ego and say, I'm going to do this because it's right for my soul, it's right for my heart, and I'm going to try.
I'd lead you through a bit of a process to get to that point, because we're so used to that feeling of, I'm not going to get my hopes up, and it's self-protection. I don't want to imagine holding a baby, because if it doesn't work, I'm never going to hold that baby. That's too painful. And so we need to, yes, break through that belief to be able to come to the other side of that. One of the main things that I always say is, it's going to be painful regardless. Having the belief that you can hold that baby and allowing yourself to feel that. And if you still don't have that success with that transfer, it's going to be painful regardless. But guess what? I know that you can handle it. And it's getting you to feel that strength and that resilience that you can handle it too. And then we realize that the fear can be overcome, and it's going to be painful regardless, but we may as well go with that belief, that empowering belief of, I can have that baby, and I will allow myself to have all those feelings and those beautiful visualizations for myself. Because we know on the donor egg journey, and I've interviewed people that have 7 rounds before they've got their baby in arms on the donor egg journey, and it's not always that one-time success. But we do know that it's a numbers game. If you can keep on trying, if you've got the resources to keep on going, that you will get that baby in arms, and that's a great thing to hold on to.
I only transferred one embryo in October. It split into twins, which put me directly into the high risk category. And so I had to have a lot of monitoring over this pregnancy, doctor's appointments twice a week sometimes, just making sure that they were growing at the right rates and there weren't any complications. And it was scary to have to continually get in my car and drive there and hopefully expect good news. But at any given point, there might not have been good news. And so I made sure to lean into journaling, and I would journal like things we talked about when we coached of, what do I want to happen? How do I want this appointment to go? What is the news that I want to receive? And just writing it all out ahead of time, even sometimes just dumping it into my phone and a note, or pulling out my journal and writing it down. And it helped me so much from start to finish. And I'm going to plan to do that on Friday before I have my C-section and go through exactly what I want to happen.
A lovely kind of unexpected bonus of being in the membership is that you've actually connected face to face with some of the other members as well, haven't you? And formed some really great friendships, some online, but definitely face to face.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have one of the other members live not even 30 minutes from me. So we've met up a few times and we text and we've had coffee together. And it's just been great to be able to, have the same kinds of conversations we would have online, but just that support of having that person there with you to hug and to just sit close to and just feel their presence and feel their spirit and know that you're not alone, because this can be a really solitary journey. Before I did IVF, I didn't really know that many people that did it. And I certainly didn't know anybody that did or used donor egg.
I think feeling fearful keeps us in that sort of, when the feeling shame keeps us in that place of secrecy, when actually if we can feel strong enough to talk about it and be open, then there can be so much more support out there.
I can count the number of times that I've thought about how our babies were conceived with the help of a donor egg on one hand. If I just thought about all the times I've actually thought about it, I can count those moments on one hand throughout this entire pregnancy. While it would probably take 1,000 hands for me to count the number of times I've simply thought about how these babies are our babies. Like, it's been not in the forefront of my mind this time. And I think I've heard other ladies and people on this journey talk about that and talk about how when you were pregnant, when the babies are here, when you feel them in your belly for the first time, your first thought is not, I used a donor egg. And until I experienced that, I wasn't 100% sold on that. Like, I always felt it was going to be this filter that I would see when I looked at the ultrasounds or and I felt them kick for the first time, or when I see them in person for the first time, I always had this fear that there was going to be this filter that I would always see them as a donor egg baby versus our babies. And it just hasn't been like that. It has truly come up in my brain a couple of times. And every time it's come up in my brain, it hasn't been anything that I didn't feel empowered to navigate. I think a lot of that has come from our work together, conversations that my husband and I have had together, the books that we've read that you have suggested from other podcast guests that you've had. I think it's just been not as big of a filter as I thought it was going to be. So I just want to encourage other people to stay the course and go through this journey. And that I know it might be different for everybody. You can't do this alone, even if you feel like you're an expert. There's so much to gain from having a person that is focused on you and focused on helping you get the skills and strategies and support and mindset that you're going to need to be able to thrive. I think you could survive this journey alone, but can you thrive without a coach? I don't think so, in my opinion. I have felt like you have taken me to the level of I've been able to thrive through this. And I feel like that's going to make me a better mother in the end. So I definitely highly recommend getting that support.
Unresolved grief and unresolved feelings, they don't just go away as much as you feel like you can just comfort eat or whatever we do, drink, shop, whatever our coping mechanism is. Mine's chocolate. We can't push those feelings down. They're going to pop up. They don't go away. When we're going through a fertility journey and we're working through emotions and looking at the donor egg IVF journey, it's not just our fertility emotions that come up. It uncovers lots of things from life that's been repressed and hidden that we've just lived with. So it's like a beautiful opportunity to almost have a bit of an emotional cleanse and to work through limiting beliefs that we've been hanging on to since childhood, and to allow any repressed grief, repressed emotions to come to the surface, and also to be able to learn tools to continue to deal with that, because life is full of ebbs and flows, ups and downs. The roller coaster continues through life, but it's very prevalent during the IVF journey.